Hi, my name's Dee, and welcome to Sunchild Tarot, and welcome to my Dark Forces update, which sounds all wonderfully ominous. Now, the reason that I've done this is with the health crisis that the world is facing, whose name shall not be uttered upon YouTube. Obviously, various conspiracy sites have been going a bit nuts. But there has long been talk about the dark forces, or even in some of the astrology videos that I've posted on the Facebook group, about the control forces. Now, any magician will tell you that there is a resistive force or an opposing force to any form of magical working. When you start working at it, the world will do its best to deter you, distract you, move you away from it. So I think there is something that people can call dark forces. Now, I made myself a list. All the enemies of humanity on one small piece of paper. So whether you're looking at it as corporate greed and secret cabals, or maybe MK Ultra and the players within the deep state, the New World Order and Agenda 21, which I hadn't heard of that for years, and all of a sudden, obviously, with what's going on, that's popped its head up against. If you don't know what Agenda 21 is, don't bother looking it up. It's not worth it. But apparently it's the New World Order trying to bump us all off to make us a more manageable number. We have the Illuminati bloodlines, who of course were fathered by the Anunnaki back in ancient Babylon. We have the shape-shifting reptilians that have infiltrated all of our power structures. We have the Greys, who are abducting people willy-nilly and in secret contracts with various governments around the world. We have the astral reptilians, one step away from the shape-shifting reptilians, more that they possess people. We have, if you're into your star seeds, the Orion forces, and I think the Rosetta Reticulans are bad guys as well, but I need to revise that. I have no idea. We have the idea of demons out of Christianity. We have negative entities and thought forms, things that can just latch themselves onto your aura. Or there's the Gnostic view of the archons, which I'll explain a little more in a moment. But basically, everyone thinks there's something. Now, flying in the face of the philosophy I am about to espouse, one thing that I have learned is that everything's true. You know, I've experienced fairy, I've experienced angels, I've experienced all sorts of weirdy stuff. So that flies in the face of what I'm about to say. The Gnostic model of the archons, they were... In the Gnostic model, this universe was created by an entity who had been born by the act of a part of the Godhead, acting in isolation, not in the form of a divine pairing. So when this being came into existence, it had no knowledge of the divine. It had no connection. So it believed itself to be a supreme being and then went on to create the Earth. Funnily enough, that's limited to the Earth and not other planets. So the Earth does like to think itself important, whether it's in Gnostic philosophy or comics. You know, in comics, we're the centre of the multiverse. But in its act of creation, it shed bits of itself, or it created the archons, who are almost like an operating system for the 3D physical world, which can also be referred to as the Maya, the Great Illusion. And these are naturally wanting to keep the souls that incarnate here separate from God so they can maintain feeding on them. And the archons will appear in all sorts of mythical forms. So according to the Gnostics, the Anunnaki are the archons in one form, and the Greys today are also a form of the archons, and the astral reptilians will be a form of the archons. So one way or another it's all true, and another way it's all rubbish. Because partly I think that we decided to descend to this world into density, and therefore this is one of the rules of operating in density. Now, the age of Aquarius is supposed to be raising all of our vibrations to a higher level, so some of the effects of this density will reduce. That does not mean to say there is not such things as corporate greed. The unrestrained capitalism will feed upon itself and feed upon all of us. I have nothing against capitalism. It has its place. It's just its place isn't anywhere near as large as what it thinks it is. There are and there aren't control forces, resistance forces, opposing forces, because also everything's true and everything's not true, because we are supposedly consciously creating and manifesting our own existence and our own universe. All that said, I thought I would do a reading and have a look how the dark forces are going. So if you're into or aware of the concept of spiritual warfare, whether it's in a Christian setting or a more New Agey starseed setting, let's have a look what the cards say. And interestingly, the position where we start, maybe if I change camera first, it would help. Oh, and I'll also stop the video here to a certain extent because my diatribe about what the dark forces are can make a video in and of itself if I do another one of these, because I quite enjoyed the idea of it. But so, firstly, before I bring up the cards, welcome to my Dark Forces update. Right, let's change cameras. Oh, no, it doesn't work. There we go. Right, so as you can see, lots and lots of, you know how I like to use many decks, but we have firstly the, what's it called? Syrian Starseed Tarot. And at the moment, the present line that we are in, and that's only this bit, because this is my sidebar, I just didn't have room for it, is the Nine of Swords, stress, anxiety, worry, fear. But also, remember, my belief of number 9 is how it is a number of rebirth, how it is an essential energy that is within everything. So we have an offer of transformation at the moment that is open to us. But we have, and there's my mate Renove again, with slavery or Irathel with propagation of light. That is our choice at the moment. God, you couldn't make this up, could you? That is our choice at the moment. We can accept slavery under the conditions, or we can propagate light. But I am not saying that you go raging out on the streets. There is a virus out there. My own thoughts is it's not part of this Agenda 21 nonsense. It's not part of the New World Order trying to bump us all off. Whether it was created in a lab and unleashed or occurred in nature is totally irrelevant. It's here now. But how we feel and how we react, as you'll hear the astrologers say, as you'll hear the New Age channelers or the angel message type people will say, don't give in to the fear. Be careful, be sensible. Wash your hands, isolate yourself. It's a physical thing. We exist in a physical world. We are spirit in a human body in a 3D density. So respect that. You know, if you need to isolate, isolate. If you need to stay away from crowds, stay away from crowds. And yes, you need to wash your hands. But then again, why is that a surprise? We needed to wash our hands anyway. So anyway, where was I? So we have that choice of propagation of light or slavery, but the option of transformation is with us. We can, oh, I can't believe these cards. If you keep the passion, we can unify the various forces that are going on. We can create, now this is the King of Pentacles, we can create an effective use and study and thought about our resources. To a certain extent, on a global level, looking down, not on a personal level, this whole event could be a blessing. It is not a blessing to anybody who loses their loved ones, and I understand that. But the carbon footprint has dramatically reduced. I think someone told me that the hole in the ozone layer has reacted, but I don't know how that would work because that's a long-term process. But the amount of carbon being generated has reduced, or carbon dioxide reduced. The world here is on our side, and we can have victory. More victory. 6 of fire, 6 of wands, 6 of fire. We have to keep our eye on the prize, though. And what's working against us? What's working against us is a voice that becomes clear and sweet. That be talking about panic being whipped up by the media. Let's have a look at the past and work forward. But I think that is a fair enough description of what we're in at the minute, isn't it? So in the past, there's been opportunities for this healing before, and the choice was delivered before, but all it seemed to do was cause conflict. Therefore, people have been carrying this dream forward. So that's the 6 of... I'm sure that's fire. Looks like it should be the 2 of swords, but the 6 of swords. But interestingly, and there's 2 ways to interpret this, depending on what your philosophies are. In the past, we have Lucifer, a fallen angel whose name is also that of the morning star, the planet Venus, which is also known as the bringer of dawn. He is a king of hell who appears as a beautiful child. He's, if you work with the Goetia and those sort of forces, he's a very empowering individual. If you're looking at it from a Christian context, he's a completely different individual. I think they're 2 different beings, to be quite honest. But there is a dream that was presented to us, but immorality was chosen over love and wisdom, and their synergy was formed from that to enable keep everything down as it is. So we have been called recently to move. We have definitely been called to move. I mean, the stars, the recent astrology has been calling us that, but our energy has been fragmented. The ideas that we've been pushing forward have been dithering and not really quite having enough. That says exactly the same. As much as Spirit has been talking to us, we've been a little more obsessed with either the fine details of something, or more unlikely, the fine details of something completely else. But faith has been carrying through. There have been people working towards this. There have been people who have been ensuring that the energies that are needed to come in have been assisting us. But I also feel with that ceremony invocation card, that's on both sides of the field. Energies to help the us and energies to help the them, even though I hate that definition between us and them. If there are people who, if the archontic model, the archons, is necessary, of course there's people that work to that agenda. Willingly, as in that's what they want to do, unwillingly, as they don't necessarily have any idea that that's the agenda that they're working towards. It's just bringing us back to, because we don't need a conspiracy, we have corporate greed. We have natural greed. We don't need the conspiracy. The phrase, what was it, useful idiot, comes to mind. And we have a planet full of useful idiots for the archons, or if you want to go into astral reptilians and all that stuff, there's plenty of useful idiots to use. And I think there has been a point where, now it's interesting, fame and renown with IAL? EIL? maybe is how you pronounce it. I'm going to have to practice how to pronounce the names of the Shem Hammer. Can't even say their collective name. Shem Mahathemarash. I can't say it without seeing it written down. Or it's Hamemfarash, maybe. So I think there's that invocation of energies is coming both ways. Bear in mind that everything has been in Capricorn, but bear in mind that there's what's been passing through Capricorn is creating a dissolution of structures. That's structures that we may have created. When I'm saying we, I'm considering myself on the light worker team. But that's open to interpretation as well, I suppose. So, the force operating here, Melech, was an ancient sun god in the twin cities of Sepharvaim. He was later designated as a ruler demon of hell with the head of a mule and some aspects of a peacock. Again, we've got that emphasis of showing yourself. Look at me, look at me, look at me. So I think some of and that's probably a result of our media culture, that the person becomes more important than the message. I mean, look at what happened to the message of Christianity. I feel that Jesus didn't come here to say, I am the Son of God, worship me. He did come here and say, I am the Son of God, worship me. But I think his point was, we are all the children of God. But that's just me. So, people were seeking a dream, and they seem to have been fed everything that they wanted, including the manifestations and the combat that they wanted. But they were made to believe that blessings were good things when they were simply lies and untruths. And there is certainly there has been that fire burning to get people to move out of this. But there's also been a fire burning to keep people at this vibration, one way or another. Agreements that are being made in secret. Things that are being unified. That even in the light of love, even in the light of the Rainbow Bridge, there are still things happening in secret. There are still things... Okay, this isn't helping my you don't need a conspiracy philosophy, is it? Things happening in secret that have been designed to repress. So, Amdusius, a Duke of Hell, blah, blah, blah. He conducts invisible instruments in melodious concert, and the trees bow to his voice. Yes, the resources of the world have been used to keep everybody in line. And so, when the trees bow to his voice, I'm rather feeling that some economists say that scarcity is false. An economy can run on scarcity. I've not even gone onto the right. There we go. The economy runs on scarcity. So what's leading up to this? There's been a choice that we have been all confronted with. A time to decrease, get rid of the secrets and lies, and try to set the efforts forward, moving forward strongly to put pay to those secrets and lies. I think there is a temptation for many of us to move into sanctuary, into hide, but there's also been that drive, obviously, to stay home and isolate and wash your hands. So that could be what that card is picking up here. But yes, we have the chance for, that's another Two of Cups equivalent card there. There is love that can... Oh, I want to sound so saccharine and say love will overcome all. But, I mean, that is the essence of most religious and New Agey philosophies. Love will overcome all. It's just the process of where you recognise that love. What's been working against us came here... manifests as a blackbird or as a man carrying a sharp sword. That's not necessarily working against us. That seems to be bringing wisdom into us and bringing wisdom into whatever the them is. Interestingly, family conflicts and reconciliation. Family conflicts, certainly if you look at the New World Order aspects of things, let's have a look how we should be feeling. Slow but sure progress, working with our friends, time for a new beginning, time for planting a good harvest, time for justice. It's time to be activated. And Ganga grammar, or Ganja grammar, may have been loosely based on some Hindu legends, but with much lost or changed in translation. He has, according to Colin Duplancy, 4 arms, and he carries a bowl and fork. I know nothing about the Hindu Ganga grammar or this particular demon, so there's not a lot that I can say about this, apart from I'm seeing the 4 arms. He has a bowl for water, he has a fork, let's call that fire, think of the pitchfork, but the other 2 hands are empty. We have to be careful that we are balanced in the actions that we are taking. How others are influencing us. So I assume this is the them forces influencing us. 9 of Swords, matching with that 9 of Orbs that we've got at the present. Again, Knight of Pentacles, saying that stay exactly where you are. Slow change, enforcing those rules. The Knight of Swords here is bringing the information, the sharp information into us. But whatever dark forces may be there are well aware of the changes that are happening. They are in reflection themselves, and they are causing us to look into ourselves. And more importantly, we are reflecting them, they are reflecting us, especially under that conscious creation, creating your own universe philosophy. We have Alastor here, who is an avenging spirit. Oh, are they knowing that time is up? Because what they are pushing forward here, ego and hate. How appropriate. So let's look at the hopes and fears, shall we? The hopes and fears is that, my hopes and fears is if there are any negative control forces out there that are embodied in beings, firstly, I have to redeem myself or ascend myself. I think redemption, ascension, there are two words out of 2 very different philosophies that mean exactly the same thing. Achieving gnosis would be another way of looking at it. But my second priority is passing that love, empowerment, energy, wisdom, awareness, whatever you want to call it, onto my brothers and sisters, i.e. the other bits of God, i.e. everything else that exists, which includes them. Because everything is a little piece of God, even if they have forgotten that. So that will include Yadabaoth, the deity who wasn't aware of the higher levels of heaven and therefore created the earth because he thought he was the supreme being out of Gnosticism. And it includes the archons that he shed as he or put into place to control the clockwork of the physical universe. We need to take a chance to bring change. We need to be looking into ourselves first. But it is a volatile time, and that's something that we are worried about. Yeah, like I say, there's going to be positive consequences of what's going on now. But there's going to be a lot of negative consequences on a personal level for a lot of people, and you cannot escape that fact, and my heart goes out to them. Intellectual richness with theft and destruction. Them's our choices. We can get the answers right, or we can carry on stealing from the planet. And then finally, Rahuvart, a singular creature of which we know very little. Oh, well, that helps. Save that he is a companion of Satan, and that in the basket in his back, he carries the souls of the curmudgeons. I'm not entirely sure who curmudgeons are. They probably deserve it. but there's that whole idea of the soul collection, which echoes the idea of the astral reptilians or the archons feeding off of us and feeding off of our energy. Right, now, finally, let's move into the future. Let's see where this week things are going. So, we're looking at our resources. We are having a teaching moment, and we can be teachers. That's the really interesting point there, especially in the light of what I just said about sharing the light, sharing the love, sharing the high vibrations, sharing the knowledge, the awareness. Because, yeah, we may have to dance somewhat, and we may have to face some conflict in this, but our star is shining brightly. We can manifest this, and now is pretty much the time to act, and we are doing that for the right reasons. We have to do it in a specific fashion, in a specific, one step at a time. I have the Witch's Round here. The Witch's Round is a ritual dance that often involves leaping, whirling, and spinning wildly around the fire. There is three is a number of power, and the dance is often performed in step sets of 3. And remember, 3 is the number of movement, of moving forward. So it's like building that tower so that it doesn't get shaken by the next earthquake, by the next thunderbolt or asteroid raining down from the sky or whatever it is. It has to be on firm foundations. We build on layer by layer by layer. So when we come out of this isolation, we can have a good look at our economy, our way of doing things, our way of life, whatever it is, and slowly but surely unpick and rebuild it in a way that is a little bit more effective and a little bit more that works, because we're in a time of creation of all things and unfoldment. But our danger here is just ingratitude. So there is a warning here, because we had gratitude over here. We should be thankful for the opportunity to be passing through this. And in terms of how we got here on this planet and incarnate in these bodies in the first place, then this is what we agreed to do. And we should be thankful that we got the chance to do it. With reflection will come peace. And yes, of course, there will be pain, but it will be pain that is healing. It will be pain that helps manifest happiness. It manifests knowledge. We have... Oh, this is interesting. I feel that there will be a new beginning with political authority, with how we tolerate malevolent behaviour. I feel both of those sides of the card are relevant and not that really different. And we have here Leonard, who is a Grandmaster of the Witches' Sabbats. He may take many forms, including a blackbird or a withered tree, but most often manifests as a man with the head of a goat and 3 horns. Hey, there's Capricorn again for you. So that Capricorn energy is not quite finished with us yet. Pluto remains in Capricorn for quite some time. Jupiter has is in the middle of a conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn. It goes out and comes back in June, goes further back, and then goes back across Pluto in Capricorn in December, if I remember correctly. But there is a time of... There's still a time of isolation coming. There is still a time of a trinity of wisdom coming down to us that we can ground. There is so much emotion and so much history, whether this is past life emotion, or I've heard some people talk about the Atlantis wound, which I sound humorous about it. I don't mean to disrespect that, because I totally get it. And even if that is not a real thing, which actually I think it is, but even if it isn't, there is so much trauma in our past lives, from living through the plagues, the great fires, the wars, the slavery, the poverty, the famines. I mean, how many times have you been on this planet, really? But grounding that energy, accepting that there's still work to do, because some astrologers say that we're not entering this age of Aquarius till the 23rd century, whereas other astrologers are saying as Jupiter and Pluto are moving into Aquarius, we're coming into that age of Aquarius now. I think we're getting tasters. My own, and this is from a point of sheer ignorance and knowing what little I know, my own thought is I think it's the 23rd century that more the age of Aquarius is kicking off, but we're having tasters, and we're having intense tasters at the moment. The honouring path, we've got to stay, we can state our intentions now. We've certainly been given the evidence. There was some card around here that implies that there is the evidence forward to allow us transformation. We have to look within, we have to dispense with secrets, we have to dispense with the lies to get a firm foundation and to get justice. I like this card, although I hope that's an 11 and not a 2 at the bottom. Could be the 2 of Swords, but I think it's the Justice card. We have alchemy and transformation here, and harmony opening up for us, so that again, harmonies are built level by level by level. So every step we take now, whether it's how you are treating yourself, how you are living your life, how are you thinking about yourself, how are you treating those people around you, what you put in your kitchen trash can, what you buy to bring into the house, to bigger policies of how you are running the economy and what emphasis of public services is put where. All of it, step by step by step. There is such an open chance here to build a new world. And hey, these dark forces, they're welcome to come and enjoy this new world as well. They just don't need to be quite as dark as there was, because I don't think they'll be any less happy. They just hopefully will have the idea of scarcity knocked out of their mind. And then we have Alyssa, a Duke of Hell with 36 military units under his command. Oh, they're just units, not legions. He appears as a knight riding on an enormous steed, his face like a lion's, with a ruddy complexion and furry eyes. Doesn't look like that spiritual warfare is over anytime soon while we are building, but I do feel that we can take control of this process. We have the Six of Flames here with a potential future, an alternate future with a creative endeavour. People have got to really think outside the box. If they do, they will create change and happiness. Ten of Cups, always a good card. They'll be able to self-determine and create their own empires, their own personal. More change, death and rebirth here. There, with focus, we can eliminate the whole thing of politics and ambition and how that shapes things for the bad. And we have Kaakrinolas, Glaciolabalas. According to demonographers, he most often manifests in the form of a winged dog. Also very good, if I remember correctly, at creating loving relationships, Glaciolabalas. Labalas even, I can't even talk. So, finally, the final outcome pile. So this is what I've been waiting for anyway. If I've got any viewers left by this point in the video. So we have the Queen of Swords, which is very positive. The ability to wisely cut out those things that we need to cut out. This Queen of Swords is divinely guided. See the halo around her head. We have the ability to cut out dark thoughts, to lead to victory and level up to create a whole new level. But there will be destruction in this process. And there is magic coming in. I think that's Four of Swords, but it looks like a tool, a man holding aloft a tool to actually bring so much insight into us. So definitely look at your media, look at your alternative media. Don't look at too much of any of it right now, because you have to look after your home and you have to stay sane and not be paralysed by fear. But if you're still watching my video, by this point, you're probably not paralysed by fear nor spending time watching loads of news on TV. But we are going to have to show our vulnerability. We are going to have to use mental force to push forward. And yes, we will have rage, but rage is not really going to serve us that well. So when you get the crowds crying revolution in the streets, yeah, I don't know whether you need to join in there or not. That's a matter for your own discernment. But that Queen of Swords will certainly give you that discernment. Then we have Yan Ganti Itan. Carries 5 candles on his 5 fingers, which he can offer a traveller or lure them from the path. Beware of distractions. We're in a plan setting time anyway, during this time of isolation. Don't be dissuaded from it. And that's my final words. Do not be dissuaded from it. So, if you want to see another one of these, although I have no idea how I am going to follow that, because it looked like a world history overview, really. Yes, it relies on what we've got now, but the end of this reading could be stretching to next year or the 23rd century when we enter into Aquarius. But battle's going well. If you believe in that battle is occurring, then it looks like we're winning. We need to get to a point where the battle isn't necessary and it no longer exists and we're not manifesting it anymore. All right? Cheers.